Picture this moment. The weight of expectation crushing down on your shoulders. Your father, a living legend, Hall of Famer, prime time himself, standing across from you. Not as dad, not as coach, but as the voice of truth you need to hear. And what does Deion Sanders tell his son Shedeur in this pivotal moment? Work is the way to win everything in life. 6 words. 6 words that will define whether Shedeur Sanders becomes the franchise quarterback the Cleveland Browns desperately need, or just another highly touted prospect who couldn't handle the heat when the spotlight burned brightest. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now because we're diving deep into the most dramatic quarterback battle the NFL has seen in years. And trust me, what happens in Cleveland this summer will send shockwaves through the entire league. Today, we're breaking down the monumental task facing Shedeur Sanders, the advice from his legendary father, the competition from Dillon Gabriel and Deshaun Watson, and why Todd Monken's declaration that an 0-1 has the starting job locked up might be the best thing that ever happened to the Cleveland Browns. This isn't just about a quarterback competition. This is about legacy, about proving doubters wrong, about a young man stepping out of his father's massive shadow to forge his own path. Let's get into it. To understand the magnitude of what Shedeur Sanders is walking into, we need to rewind the tape. The Cleveland Browns quarterback situation has been, let's call it complicated. For years, this franchise has been searching, desperately searching, for stability at the most important position in football. Think about it. Since 1999, when the Browns returned to the NFL, they've started 32 different quarterbacks. 32. That's more than one per season. It's been a revolving door of disappointment, fleeting hope, and crushing letdowns. Then came the Deshaun Watson era, the massive trade, the fully guaranteed $230 million contract, the weight of expectations that would crush most men. And through all the controversy, all the drama, all the ups and downs, the Browns still haven't found their answer. Watson's performance has been inconsistent. Injuries have plagued him. And now the Browns have made a move that signals they're not putting all their eggs in one basket anymore. Enter Shedeur Sanders, the son of prime time, the Colorado quarterback who threw for over 3,900 yards and 35 touchdowns in his final college season. A player who's been groomed by one of the greatest athletes in sports history. A young man who's lived under the microscope his entire life. The Browns didn't just draft a quarterback. They drafted a statement, a declaration that things are going to be different. That competition will breed excellence. That an 0-1, not even a $230 million man, is above proving themselves. And that's where Todd Monken comes in. The new head coach has made it crystal clear. Shedeur Sanders will have to earn the starting job in camp. Not compete for it. Not have a chance at it. Earn it. 3 men. 1 job. 1 city hungry for a winner. 1 organization tired of being the punchline. The pressure? It's suffocating. The expectations? Through the roof. The stakes? Franchise-altering. And in this moment, when Shedeur needs guidance more than ever, his father delivers wisdom that transcends football. Let's talk about what makes Deion Sanders' advice so powerful. Work is the way to win everything in life. Coming from anyone else, that might sound like a motivational poster. A generic statement you'd see on Instagram with a sunset background. But coming from prime time? From a man who dominated 2 professional sports? From someone who turned himself into a brand, a legend, an icon? Those words carry weight. Deion Sanders knows something about competition. He knows about being doubted. He knows about walking into hostile territory and making believers out of critics. He won a Super Bowl with the 49ers, then another with the Cowboys. He played Major League Baseball. He's a Hall of Famer, a first-ballot immortal. But here's the thing that makes this advice so crucial for Shedeur. Deion also knows about privilege, about having doors open because of your name, about people questioning whether you earned it or were given it. Shedeur has lived his entire life as Deion's son. Every success questioned, every achievement shadowed by his last name, every opportunity viewed through the lens of nepotism. Prime knows this. He's watched it. He's felt it. And that's why his message to Shedeur isn't about talent. It's not about arm strength or football IQ or leadership qualities. It's about work. Because when you work harder than everyone else, nobody can question your place. Nobody can say you didn't earn it. Nobody can diminish what you've accomplished. Todd Monken is watching. Dillon Gabriel is grinding. Deshaun Watson is fighting to reclaim his status. And Shedeur? He has to outwork them all. Not match their effort. Exceed it. The film room at 5 a.m. The extra throwing sessions after practice. The study of defensive tendencies while others sleep. The relentless, obsessive pursuit of perfection that separates franchise quarterbacks from career backups. That's what Deion is telling his son. And honestly, it's the only way Shedeur survives this. And I want to hear from you right now. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Shedeur has what it takes to win this job? Is he ready for this level of competition? Or is the pressure too much for a rookie, even one with his pedigree? Comment below. Let's discuss. Now let's break down what Shedeur is actually facing. Because this isn't your typical quarterback competition. This is a three-headed monster, and each head presents unique challenges. Deshaun Watson, the veteran. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Watson was supposed to be the answer. The franchise savior. The elite quarterback who would lead Cleveland to the promised land. And look, when Watson is healthy and locked in, he's special. The 2020 season showed us what peak Watson looks like for 1,823 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, a 112.4 passer rating. That's elite quarterback play. But we haven't seen that player consistently in Cleveland. Injuries, rust, psychological pressure. Whatever the reason, Watson hasn't been the game changer the Browns paid for. Here's the reality. Watson is fighting for his career right now. That $230 million contract doesn't guarantee him anything in 2025. If he loses this job to a rookie, the narrative shifts dramatically. Suddenly, he's not a franchise quarterback. He's a cautionary tale. That makes Watson dangerous. Desperate athletes are unpredictable. They either elevate to levels you didn't know they had, or they crumble under the weight of what they're losing. Dillon Gabriel, the dark horse. Don't sleep on Gabriel. This is the kid who threw for 8,474 yards and 67 touchdowns in his final 2 college seasons between Oklahoma and Oregon. Those aren't just good numbers. Those are video game numbers. Gabriel has accuracy. He has poise. He has proven production against elite competition. And here's the kicker, he's hungry. He wasn't drafted as high as Shedeur. He doesn't have the name recognition. He doesn't have the spotlight, which means he has everything to gain and nothing to lose. That's a dangerous opponent. Someone with talent who feels disrespected? Someone with the skills, but not the platform? That person will outwork you every single day just to prove the world wrong. Gabriel is studying when others rest. He's in the gym when others recover. He's the guy who makes Shedeur's challenge exponentially harder because he refuses to be forgotten. Shedeur Sanders, the prodigy under pressure. And then there's Shedeur, the highest drafted of the three, the son of a legend. The quarterback who chose to follow his father to Colorado and delivered on every promise. Shedeur's resume is impressive, 11,286 passing yards in his college career, 92 touchdowns, a 70.6% completion percentage, leadership that transformed Colorado's program, poise in the pocket that looks NFL ready. But here's his challenge, expectations. Everyone expects him to win this job because of who his father is, because of the hype. Because of the draft position. If Shedeur wins, people will say it was handed to him. If he loses, he's a bust before he ever takes a meaningful NFL snap. The pressure is crushing, suffocating, relentless. And that's exactly why his father's advice matters so much. Let's talk about the genius of Todd Monken's approach here. Because what he's doing isn't just about finding a starting quarterback. It's about building a culture. Monken could have walked into Cleveland and said, "Deshaun, you're my guy. You're the $230 million quarterback, so the job is yours to lose." He didn't do that. He could have said, "Shedeur, we drafted you high for a reason. You're the future, so we're handing you the reins." He didn't do that either. Instead, Monken did something revolutionary in today's NFL. He made everyone compete. No guaranteed starters. No protected veterans. No untouchable prospects. You want the job? Earn it. This is brilliant for several reasons. First, it maximizes competition. When 3 talented quarterbacks know they have a legitimate shot, they push each other to levels they wouldn't reach individually. Iron sharpens iron. Excellence breeds excellence. Second, it builds buy-in from the roster. When players see that no one, not even the highest paid player on the team, is above competition, it sends a message. This is a meritocracy. The best players play. Period. Third, it gives Monken options. If Watson rediscovers his Pro Bowl form, great, you have a veteran leader. If Shedeur proves he's ready immediately, you have your franchise quarterback years ahead of schedule. If Gabriel shocks everyone, you found a diamond in the rough. Fourth, it protects the organization. If Shedeur doesn't win the job as a rookie, it's not a failure. It's development. It's learning. It's the competition doing what competition is supposed to do. This approach is risky. It could create tension. It could lead to controversy. It could blow up in spectacular fashion. But here's the thing about Cleveland Browns fans, they're tired of the same old approach. They've watched the franchise coddle quarterbacks, make excuses for underperformance, and waste seasons hoping things would magically improve. Monken is offering something different, something bold, something that might actually work. And at the center of it all, a young quarterback whose father just gave him the blueprint for success. Before we continue, I need to know, who do you think should start Week 1 for the Cleveland Browns? Deshaun Watson, the veteran trying to reclaim his status? Dillon Gabriel, the dark horse nobody's talking about? Or Shedeur Sanders, the heir apparent? Comment your choice below and explain why. Let's see what the consensus is. So what happens next? How does this play out? Training camp is where careers are made and broken. For Shedeur Sanders, the next few months will define his NFL trajectory. Here's what he needs to do. Master the playbook. Todd Monken's offense is complex. It demands quick processing, pre-snap reads, and post-snap adjustments. Shedeur needs to know this system better than anyone else in that quarterback room. When coaches ask questions, he needs to have answers before Watson finishes thinking. When film study sessions happen, he needs to identify defensive coverages faster than Gabriel. Knowledge is power. And in a quarterback competition, the smartest player often wins. When the locker room, leadership isn't given. It's earned. Shedeur needs to build relationships with teammates. Not as the coach's son or the famous prospect, but as a teammate they can trust. That means staying late with the offensive line. That means connecting with receivers on route concepts. That means being the first one in the building and the last one to leave. If the roster believes in him, the coaches will follow. Perform under pressure. Preseason games matter in quarterback competitions. Every snap is evaluated. Every decision dissected. Every throw analyzed. Shedeur needs to show composure when defenses bring pressure. He needs to deliver accurate passes in tight windows. He needs to prove he can execute when the stakes are high. Practice is important. Games are everything. Stay humble, stay hungry. This is where Deion's advice becomes crucial. The moment Shedeur thinks he's arrived, the moment he believes the hype, trusts the draft position, or expects a job to come to him, he loses. Watson and Gabriel aren't going to hand him anything. They're going to fight for every rep, every snap, every opportunity. Shedeur has to match that intensity every single day. Work is the way to win everything in life. Not talent, not connections, not expectations. Work. If Shedeur embraces that mentality, if he outworks two talented competitors who have just as much to prove, then he has a chance. A real legitimate chance to become the quarterback Cleveland has been searching for since 1999. But if he doesn't, if the pressure breaks him, if the competition reveals he's not ready, then Cleveland will have their answer. And Shedeur will have to face the reality that being Deion Sanders' son isn't enough in the NFL. Let's zoom out for a moment and understand what's really at stake here. This isn't just about one season. This isn't just about one quarterback competition. This is about the direction of the Cleveland Browns franchise for the next decade. If Shedeur wins this job and develops into a franchise quarterback, the Browns become a perennial contender. They build around him. They surround him with weapons. They construct a championship-caliber roster with him as the centerpiece. If Watson rediscovers his elite form, Cleveland has stability at the most important position and can compete immediately. The massive investment pays off, and the franchise validates one of the boldest trades in NFL history. If Gabriel shocks the world and wins the job, the Browns have found their quarterback at a fraction of the cost, allowing them to build a complete roster around a budget-friendly option. 3 paths, 3 futures, 1 decision. Todd Monken is betting that competition will reveal the truth, that the best player will emerge, that the Cleveland Browns will finally have their answer at quarterback. And Shedeur Sanders? He's betting on himself, on his work ethic, on the wisdom his father has imparted, on the belief that when you outwork everyone else, the results take care of themselves. The next few months will be brutal, exhausting, unforgiving, but they'll also be revelatory. We're about to find out who Shedeur Sanders really is. Not as Deion's son, not as a highly drafted prospect, but as an NFL quarterback competing for the biggest opportunity of his life. Prime time has given him the blueprint. Work is the way to win everything in life. Now Shedeur has to prove he can follow it. And that's where we'll leave it today, everyone. If you enjoyed this breakdown, if you're as fascinated by this quarterback battle as I am, then smash that like button right now. It helps the algorithm push this content to more NFL fans who need to hear this story. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates as this competition unfolds. Because trust me, we'll be covering every development, every practice report, every piece of news that comes out of Cleveland. And one final question before you go. What's the biggest challenge Shedeur Sanders will face in training camp? Is it the mental pressure of competing against Watson, the physical demands of learning an NFL system, or the emotional weight of his father's legacy? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and I'll be responding to your insights. Share this video with every Browns fan you know. Share it with every NFL fan who loves a good quarterback battle. Share it with anyone who appreciates the intersection of legacy, competition, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. The Cleveland Browns quarterback competition is about to become the most compelling storyline in the NFL. And Shedeur Sanders, armed with his father's wisdom and his own determination, is ready to fight for his place in NFL history. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Key takeaways: Deion Sanders' wisdom. Prime time's advice to Shedeur that work is the way to win everything in life is the foundation for how the young quarterback must approach this competition. Talent alone won't be enough. Three-way battle. Shedeur faces legitimate competition from Deshaun Watson, the veteran fighting to justify his $230 million contract, and Dillon Gabriel, the dark horse with elite college production. No one has the job secured. Todd Monken's meritocracy, the new head coach, has created a culture where everyone must earn their spot, sending a powerful message throughout the organization that excellence will be rewarded regardless of draft position or salary. The stakes: this competition will define the Cleveland Browns' direction for the next decade. The winner becomes the face of the franchise. The losers face uncertain futures. The path to victory: Shedeur must master the playbook, win the locker room, perform under pressure, and maintain the humble, hungry mindset his father emphasized. Work, relentless, obsessive work, is his only path to success. The summer of 2025 will reveal who Shedeur Sanders truly is. Not as a prospect, not as Deion's son, but as an NFL quarterback ready to lead a franchise starving for success. The battle begins now.